the Waves maiden season was pretty impressive. I think even if they followed like a Bay format, even though they were up and down, the bones were there. So it was like, let's get a good head coach and then try to implement a system and have like the patience to ride it out. I think that they fared pretty damn well.
We have officially, unofficially, officially our 16th NWSL expansion team. According to multiple reports from The Athletic and Sportico, Denver, Colorado will be joining the NWSL in 2026 as the 16th expansion side for a record-setting $110 million expansion fee. Yes, those numbers are correct. $110 million. That more than doubles the expansion fees for Bay FC and Boston that were around $53 million. So this is the largest sum ever paid for in order to acquire a North American pro women's soccer team. Sandra, this is a whole lot of money. What do we know about it? What do we know about this money? Where did it come from? Where is it going? What is the league possibly going to do with $110 million?
Well, first of all, it made history, right? I think we're coming off of a year where we're coming off of an experience with NWSL where whenever there's been the opportunity for double expansion years, once the money gets announced, I think that gets a lot of the attention. And naturally, this is going to get a lot of the attention because it already doubles what we have just seen in recent events. I think for the very short time that they had the record, it belonged to Bay FC for their record expansion fee. And now Denver has come in and completely smashed it. So at the very surface level, there's a celebration of that type of moment. I mean, this league loves evaluation. They love a number. Now they've got themselves another one. I think it's important to note that, within some of the reporting is definitely an expansion fee that's going to be paid over the course of time. There's already a first payment that's already been made. I mean, not to make it sound like a layaway kind of plan, but it's going to come in increments. And not only do you love to see that kind of number, but I think that's the other kind of sub question. Other things we would like to see is where exactly is it going? How is it going to be utilized? I think when it comes to bid books and markets that are making their bids, there's intention maybe behind having this money. Not only is it an expansion fee, but where's it going to go and how's it going to be utilized? And I think for Denver, with their future team, there's going to continue to be those discussions around the stadium. We have heard so much about it with Boston and kind of their semi-roadblocks to not real roadblocks, and now they're going to actually break ground on their facilities. And now for Denver, what's that going to mean for them? What's that going to look like for them when they get here in 2026?
This is a Denver city that has been fighting for this expansion for a long time because it's a hotbed. I mean, players, Darian, come from Denver, right? You look at Mallory Swanson, Sophia Smith, Lindsey Horan, just the three biggest names right now in U.S. women's national team football. But players want to go there too. It's a pretty cool city.
It's a dope city. I also already see this rivalry of Salt Lake and Denver because that's already a very real rivalry. So I like this. I think it's going to be great for the league. And even growing up, Colorado Rush is one of the biggest, most competitive clubs that has a massive pipeline for players that go play at D1 college. A lot of players that go play pro, either in the NWSL or overseas. They have great coaching programs. When you look at how this is going to be a team that's going to be so competitive in the NWSL, I think a big factor in that is their attachment to the youth programming that comes out of Colorado. Yes, you named those three biggest names on the women's national team that have come out of playing in Denver. They're going to continue that pipeline. And I think it's going to make it so competitive now, especially with no draft. I think Denver's going to come in guns a-blazing and be one of the most competitive teams to jump into the NWSL that we've seen. And they've got, over $100 million backing them? I mean, they're setting a completely new standard, I think, of what joining the NWSL is going to look like. And I cannot wait to see them live up to what we're imagining it's going to be.
We've seen expansion sides come in and be really successful. I think San Diego set a benchmark for how clubs can compete in a really competitive NWSL, but the competitive process starts well before teams are even formed and take place because Denver had to beat out hundreds of other cities making bids. There were hundreds of bids initially for this 16th expansion team, but ultimately they beat out Cleveland and Caitlin Clark and Cincinnati in Ohio, two teams that were ready to come in and make their mark. But now we see that it's going to be Boston, Christine, it's going to be Denver. They're coming in 2026, and they have to make waves. If you're Denver and you are like looking to start 2026 with a bang, which expansion team that you've already seen succeed in the NWSL are you going to follow that format? Who are you like, I want to be you. If I could be anyone, I want to be you.
I feel like the Waves maiden season was pretty impressive. I think even if they followed like a Bay format, even though they were up and down, the bones were there. So it was like, let's get a good head coach and then try to implement a system and have like the patience to ride it out. I think that they fared pretty damn well. I think that either of those would be pretty good models to go after. Um, as a side note, I think that with this advent of ridiculous expansion fees just to buy in, I think that there needs to be a reevaluation of what it means to be an existing club and set standards and minimums for what there must be with the alleviation of the draft, set up academies, things like that. I think that if you're going to be serious and start lumping these big fees on the backs of new expansion sides, there needs to be more to it than that.
For those that don't know, before Christine Cupo was commentator extraordinaire, she worked in corporate America. Can I say that? I don't know.
Yeah, I was part of Big Four. Sorry, I was a cog in the machine. Yeah,
I would hire her
to
figure out what to do with this money.
Yeah, former Deloitte, former PwC. I also worked on the structured finance side at Moody's for a little bit. If you're into
like
ratings
Denver,
agencies.
hire me. NWSL,
I'm a
hire
dork.
me.
But
I mean, it's valid. This is so much money, and it has to be going somewhere that is beneficial. And it's one of the craziest things that we don't know. We, as in like the public, right, don't know where this $110 million is going, right? It's going
right, but there needs to be a rationale behind the ticket price, other than we want there to be more exclusivity. And from my perspective thus far, that's been the only angle that you can perceive it from, is that we want, since we have all of these bids, we have the option of driving up the price versus demand. And that's great because everyone wants to buy into women's sports. However, there needs to be some underlying foundational reasons for these exorbitant prices. We want to grow the sport, and I do agree with that. And I do think that there needs to be a tempered, smart way to implement expansion sides. If you expand too quickly, I promise you this league will fold. There'll be too many teams that just are insolvent. They won't be able to withstand this. They also won't be able to sustain the job growth, that which is great, but there's a measured way to approach this. So I think that when you look at teams, and I'm sure we've talked about this and beat this dead pony a million times, like a Houston Dash, there needs to be certain minimums imposed on teams that are pre-existing, and not worry so much about extraordinary valuation, because it's not that they're fictitious in whole. They have a basis in reality, and there's different ways of evaluating an organization and a company. I think that it really comes down to, until somebody wants out, that's bought in, a stakeholder or otherwise, that's more than a minority shareholder, that's when these valuations that are very, very high blow up in your face because you're unable to pay out or substantiate them. But otherwise, they can ride and nobody will ever challenge them.
Taking notes. I'm taking very detailed notes right now because it makes sense. We did a poll on YouTube for those watching us live on YouTube, asking where the money should go. 61% overwhelmingly, it's no doubt, said that the money should go towards the players. 28% said the money should go towards academies or youth players, and 20% to the front office. We did, our producer Mark put up a poll for the fans if they should get a cut of this. No, 0%. And everyone that watched like,
good
hey,
job, everybody.
So they know it's a good pulse check here on Attacking Third. But even better pulse check is what Denver is going to do with the name, with the marketing campaign, with how they roll out this club, because they have.
Well, Boston set the bar in the mud, so go on, Denver.
It can only go up from here.
It can't get any worse than that. All I'm going to say is, Denver, just don't call yourself Den Nation. Maybe don't do that one.
Den Nation.
Don't do that.
Goodness.
Like too terrible. But let us know if you're with us live on YouTube. Drop it in the chat. What is your suggestion for what Denver's NWSL expansion team name should be. We're going to let you guys marinate, drop that in there. But you three, you are the creative minds of attacking third. Hit me. What do you got, Sandra? I know you've been broing on this. What should Denver be called? You know?
Oh man, definitely not Den Nation. I think we had this conversation where we're just like, get funky with it. Channel your inner like minor league baseball affiliate teams. Give me some random animal. Give me an animal. Have that be like what you rally around. If you want to go by Denver FC, congratulations. Go ahead and go by Denver FC. But give me a cool animal. Give me like a mountain lion or something, or maybe something more native to Denver. But give me an animal to rally behind.
Quickly Googling animals native to Denver, Colorado.
Denver state bird, Denver state animal, Denver state flower.
Yeah.
Somebody quick hit me with
Denver
what do you
cloud.
have? You had some good ones for Boston back in the day. You got any good ones for Denver?
Did I? I think my best one was like Boston Baddies.
Hey, that's
and honestly, that still was better than what they chose.
It really is. I've got to marinate on it. I'm trying to think like
they've got Nuggets.
People go to Aspen.
Out there?
Yeah, they've got the Nuggets.
Nuggets,
Broncos.
Mm-hmm. They have the Rockies,
Rapids, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I honestly, Denver FC is not bad. What about like Summit?
I don't mind Denver FC, but I understand the appeal of having a mascot too that can go after whatever the name is.
Mark,
we got
our producer Mark says dynamite. What if Denver Dynamite and like an actual stick of dynamite is like as a mascot? Incredible.
Owen in our chat is saying Aspens. T-Money says the altitudes.
Altitudes is hilarious.
Yeah, that's not bad. The Mile High Club, that's the fan group, the supporters group. We could go with that one.
Breathless FC.
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of good, Sandra. See, you guys are creative. Christine, you got any? You're quiet over there.
Because I'm trying to think of like the worst ones so I could throw them out. So when I'm joking around and they inevitably pick one that's that bad, I could be like, hey, I suggested that, but as a joke, it'd be like Ver FC, never mind Den Nation.
Yeah. Just don't do something like Pioneer Women or something like don't do that. Just stay away from that kind of stuff.
Quaker FC.
Yeah, get out of there. Just throw those in the garbage right now.
Terrible. Someone also says the double black diamond. I don't know, Black Diamond FC, Black Diamonds. It's like kind of cool. I could see that one. I don't know. We'll see. They've got time to take our suggestions or not and learn a thing or two from Boston Nation, but we have it officially official. And before we close out this segment, we do have to say shout out to friend of the show, friend of CBS, Jordan Angeli.
Hey,
Denver,
Jordan,
who was influential in getting this off the ground and being a proud supporter of it. I think we all have Denver FC shirts. We got to rock them at some point.
We do, in fact, yes.
Which is pretty cool. So
that's one of the best part of this news. We were all so happy.
Yes,
I know. We were like, yes, Jordan. So
shout out Jordan.
Congrats to Jordan, to Denver, for everyone involved in this, for the league, I guess, for getting $110 million, because that's just too much. If we find out where it's going, guys, you'll be the first ones that we let know.